Hello. Today we're going to be solving two-step equations. Two steps are very similar to the one step, except you have more than a single step to do. When we're talking about inverse operations, we're talking about undoing the operation that was involved. So how would you undo addition? You would do that with subtraction. How would you undo subtraction? Well, that would be with addition. How would you undo multiplication? Well, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. And then how would you undo division? Again, the opposite of dividing is to multiply. So decide what two things need to be undone. You want to just take a moment and look at the equation and determine what needs to be undone. What is the variable? How would you move things to get to that? To get to the point where the variable is by itself on one side of the equation. Once you have figured out what you need to do, then you do them in reverse order operations. So remember, order of operations is first thing you do is inside parentheses. Then you would do exponents. Then you would do multiply or divide, and then you would end up with add or subtract. So if I was to do it in reverse order, I would, most cases, I would do add or subtract first. Then I would do my multiplication or my division. There are cases where you're not able to add or subtract first, but for the most part you would add or subtract first, and then you would go into a multiply or divide. Always make sure to check your answer. And how would you do that? How would you check your answer? If you said that you can just plug what your answer was for the variable back into the equation and to see if both sides are equal, that is correct. So first thing I'm going to do, look at the equation. What are you solving for? We would undo the addition and subtraction first. Multiplication and division would be second. And then the final step would be to check our solution to make sure we got the correct answer. So we have some examples here. There are 4 here. We're going to go through each one, and I'm going to talk about them as we go. So our first one is 10x plus 3 equals 33. And remember, our first step is to add or subtract. The second step would be to multiply or divide. So if I'm going to do the add or subtract first, I would move what number first? If you said 3, you are correct. Because it is addition, the opposite would be to subtract 3 from each side of the equation. 3 minus 3 is 0. That leaves 10x by itself. 33 minus 3 is equal to 30. Now that I have my addition done, or my addition operation undone, now I can undo my multiplication. 10x is multiplication. The opposite would be to divide, and we're going to divide both sides by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. X is by itself. 30 divided by 10 is 3. And if I were to check that, I would replace the x in the equation with 3. So if I have 10 times x, we're going to replace that with 3 plus 3, and we want to know, does it equal 33? Well, 10 times 3 is 30. 30 plus 3 is 33. And does 33 equal 33? Yes, it does. So our answer checks out. Our second example is 5x minus 8 equals 32. When I'm looking at the operation, I see that there is multiplication here and there is subtraction here. So my first step is going to be adding 8 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. 5x is by itself. 32 plus 8 is 40. Now I have 5x, that is multiplication. So to undo multiplication, I would need to, yes, divide both sides by 5. X is now by itself. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So I want to know if I were to replace x with 8 in my equation, will it equal 32? So let's just do that. So we'll have 5 times, our x we said was 8, minus 8 equals 32. And we want to know, does this work? Well, if I take 5 times 8, I get 40. Bring down my subtract 8. 40 minus 8 is 32. 32 equals 32. Is this true? Yes, it is, so my answer checks out. Sometimes the equation is written what a lot of people consider to be backwards. You could rewrite this. If you were to rewrite it, you want to be very careful. Make sure that you copy the expression exactly to move it to the other side. You don't want to flip the 50 and the 3x, okay? However, you can solve it just like this, just following the same rules. So when I look at this, I have a negative 47 on the left, and I have a 3x minus 50 on the right. Well, I see that this is multiplication, and this is subtraction. And knowing that I need to add or subtract first, I'm going to actually undo this minus 50 first. So the opposite would be to add 50 to both sides. Negative 50 plus 50 is 0, and that leaves me with 3x on the right. Negative 47 plus positive 50. I have different signs. So if I find the difference of these two, 50 minus 47 is 3. I have 47 negatives and 50 positives. I have more positives than negatives, so it's going to be a positive 3. Now, I still have to undo this. This is multiplication, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1. So x is equal to 1. So let's check and see. If I replace in my equation the x with 1, will it indeed equal negative 47? So I have 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 50 is, can't take 50 from 3, so I'm going to do 3 plus negative 50. Different signs find the difference, so 50 minus 3 is 47. There are more negatives than there are positives, so it's going to be a negative 47. Is negative 47 equal to negative 47? Yes, so my answer is correct. This one has a decimal. Do you think that we're going to do anything different with this than we did before? If your answer was no, you're correct. Okay, so I am going to take a look. It's 15 plus 2.5m equals 70. And if I have to find, the first thing I need to do is to move what? If you said the 15, you are correct. So I am going to take, and because it's a positive, to make this 0, I need to subtract 15 from it. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. So 15 minus 15 is 0. The 2.5m comes straight down. And 70 minus 15 is equal to 55. M is still not by itself. This is multiplication, so the inverse of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2.5. And 2.5 divided by 2.5 is 1, so m is by itself. And then I'm going to take the 55 and divide it by 2.5, and that gives me 22. Now I need to check to see if my math is correct. And so if I have 15 plus 2.5m equals 70, and I want to know if I replace the m with 22, is it a true statement? Well, order of operations, I should do multiplication first. So I'm going to take the 22 times 2.5, and I'm going to get 55. Now I'm going to take 15 plus 55, and I am going to get 70. Is that equal to 70? Yes, it is. So my answer checks out. Here are 4 more examples, and with these I have subtraction and I have division. And so when I'm doing these, they're going to be done very similar to the ones we already did, but just keeping in mind that some are subtraction, some are addition, some are multiplication, some are division. So we need to pay very close attention to which ones we do first. So when I look at my example for 5, I have h divided by 12 minus 5 equals negative 17. And I want to solve for h. When I'm doing this and I'm looking at it, I see the 12 needs to move and the 5 needs to move. Knowing that I should add or subtract first, I should move which number first. If you said 5, you were correct. Since it's subtraction, we're going to add 5 to both sides. Negative 5 plus 5 gives me 0, so I'm going to bring my h divided by 12 down. Negative 17 plus 5, different signs find the difference, so I'm going to take 17 minus 5, and that's going to give me 12. I have 17 negatives and 5 positives, so that means that this is going to be a negative 12. Now, to get rid of the 12, this is division, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. The 12s cancel out on the left, and h is by itself. Negative 12 times positive 12 is 144. Because it's a negative times a positive, my answer is a negative 144. And then I would do a check step to see. So I would take my negative 144, divide that by 12, subtract 5 from it, and I want to know, if I do this, does it give me negative 17? So the first thing I would do would be to take the negative 144 and I would divide it by 12, and that's going to give me a negative 12. A negative 12 minus 5, that is with subtraction, so I am going to do the additive inverse. So I'm going to take my negative 12, change subtract to add, and positive 5 to negative 5. They're both negatives, so I'm just going to add. 12 plus 5 is 17. They're both negative, so it's a negative 17. So does negative 17 equal negative 17? Yes, it does. For example 6, I have negative 45 on the left equals m divided by negative 2 plus 4 on the right. Knowing that I add or subtract first whenever possible, I'm going to move this forward first. Since it's addition, I'm going to subtract both sides by 4. That leaves me with m minus, or divided by negative 2, and negative 49 minus 4, because it's subtraction, I'm going to keep this one, change to add the opposite. So then I have negative 45 plus negative 4, which is negative 49. Now I'm going to take and move the negative 2. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. So if I take 49 times 2, I get 98. I have a negative times a negative, so it's a positive. These two cancel out, and m is by itself. So I have found that m is equal to 98. And then I can do the check step to make sure that my answer is correct. Okay? I'm going to let you do the next one on your own. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.